Hello, so today we are going to talk about how to shade in our drawing. So hopefully you have been drawing in your image square by square with your grid. You want to make sure that you try to line up and see where things start and finish. So for example, I noticed that my ledge here that my cat is kind of sitting on, it goes from the corner of 7 up to the very tippy top corner. So I always try to gauge where things are going to fall. That's going to help me make sure I have an accurate drawing. So I kind of started to sketch it out. And you want to lay in as many details as you can, including, little highlights maybe in the eyes, in other areas, just to make it a little bit easier for when you have to start to shade. So when you are shading, you want to hold your pencil at the base or at the back end of the pencil. The reason, especially when you're trying to shade something light, this is going to keep you from putting a whole lot of pressure onto your drawing to create a lighter shade. When you're shading a little bit with a darker value for like my background here, it's okay to hold it up more towards the point. That way you can put a lot of pressure on to get a nice deep, dark tone. So when you are shading, you want to hold your pencil and use the edge. You want to make sure you have a nice point and you want to use the edge of the pencil, not straight up and down. The reason that we do this is one, you're going to have more surface area, so it's going to cover more area by shading using the side versus shading with a point. Next, the other reason you want to do this is when you use the point, sometimes you're going to create little grooves in your paper. And if you mess up and you go to erase it and then fill it back in, your pencil lead's not going to be able to get in that groove. So you want to really hold your pencil to the side, and we're just going to go box by box, shading everything in. So you want to make sure that those pencil lines kind of overlap and blend together. All right, so this first one is looking good. Okay. So I'm making sure that it's nice and even throughout. All right, great. So I would do this for each of the boxes back here. When it comes to my cat, however, I'm going to go with a lighter shade, and I'm just going to go box by box. So I'm over here in 4, and sometimes it's best to even cover up, the boxes so that you're just focusing on the box. So this is a much lighter tone. And I'm going to kind of slowly shade it on in. And then the background is really nice and dark. So you want to make sure that you're making your background pop or any area with dark shadows. You want those areas to pop, and you want to make sure any areas that are white, you leave white. Now, there's not a whole lot of white going on in my picture. Maybe down here in the candle, a little bit up over here, and maybe a little bit in the whiskers. Everything else is a lighter shade of gray. So I really should be having almost my whole picture shaded, with a few exceptions to where it truly is white. Again, I'm shading it all in. All right, so it should kind of look something like that. And you're just, like I said, you're going box by box to fill it on in. Now you don't want to have areas where I wouldn't want to outline, my cat's eye, for example. Having those different tones side by side will give you that line. So I don't want to sit there and, put like eyeliner on my cat. Instead, like I said, having those different shades side by side will make it look much more realistic. It's already going to create that natural tone side by side. you also want to pay attention to the direction that you're shading. So his fur is going, you know, more horizontal. So I want to shade in that direction. If I'm shading up and down or in a different direction, it's not going to make sense. So I do want to try to pay attention to, you know, how the fur is lining up. Okay. So another thing that you can do, for example, with the whiskers, is you can actually kind of draw with an eraser. So I might lay down some gray, but I'm not going to push too hard. And then with my eraser, I can actually kind of put back in, this isn't a great eraser, so it's not the best example, I'm sorry guys. So you can actually kind of draw back in those lighter areas for where the white should go. Okay? So I'm hoping that you can have this done by the end of next week. Take your time. If you have any questions, let me know.